Hey, fellow geographers, welcome to our final quarantine geography. Today we're going to do a very special quarantine geography and explore the 7 modern wonders of the world. Your job is to add these final 7 vocabulary and definitions to your Quizlet, and then you will be done. And so at the end, I'll have your final assignment. So kick back, relax, and let's explore the wonders of the world. You ready, Adeline? All right, let's go. So we're going to start up here in northern China with the Great Wall of China. Now, there are a lot of different wonders of the world lists. There was an ancient wonders of the world, and the only one left of that is the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. But this list we're looking at was actually created in the 2000s, and they voted on about 200 different monuments, and these 7 were chosen. And so the Great Wall of China was chosen because it's the longest human-made structure in the world. And it was originally built in northern China to keep invaders out of the north. So let's zoom in a little bit. Invaders are people that would come in trying to take over your country. And so the Chinese did not want those people to get in. And so they built this wall to keep them out. And not only was it long enough to help keep out invaders, but it had a communication system. They could light fires along the wall and communicate when invaders were coming. Whoa, look at that.
So they could be inside of the wall and hide?
Well, the wall was built up to try and keep people from climbing over. And so they'd have guards on top of the wall. Okay? Now, our next monument is way over in Brazil. This was built much more recently. In the 1900s, early 1900s, and it is the Christ the Redeemer statue. Now, the Christ the Redeemer statue was built over Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and they wanted to build a statue that overlooked the city. And so this is an incredible, we have a zoomed out version here, so you can see the scope of the view from Christ the Redeemer statue. But let's zoom in and look at this statue, because it's really an incredible feat. You can climb up this mountain and see this statue. And what's that statue of? What does that look like? Jesus, that's right. So it's a statue of Jesus. Now, Jesus is overlooking the city. You can see a lot of tourists there. There's a good view. Look at that. And Brazil, which is the largest predominantly Catholic country in the world, wanted this sort of religious sculpture to watch over their city. So very cool. Next, we go over to Peru into the Andes Mountains. And we have our first of a couple different ancient civilizations that were very successful that left behind. So, me too, I want to go to those mountains too. That left behind some really cool architectural feats. So this one's called Machu Picchu. It's a former Incan city. That's right. The Incans were the dominant empire over in this part of the world before the Spanish came and conquested the region, though disease more conquested the region.
I know what this is.
So that's looks like those are roads. Okay, but the Machu Picchu city was built into the side of the mountain, almost like a fortress. So it would be very difficult, as you can see from our zoomed out view here, it'd be very difficult for invaders to be able to infiltrate Machu Picchu. And if we zoom in, you can see up close just how impressive it was to build this fortress into the side of a mountain. Look at that. And it really never was conquered by humans. It was conquered by disease. The Incans eventually abandoned Machu Picchu as the Spanish brought over new disease, and they were eventually defeated more by disease than actual wars. That's right, we can kind of go up the stairs here. Should we go up? Look at that.
These stairs are long.
Yeah. Get to the top. Okay, look at that. You can see invaders coming from far away. And what invaders are?
Yeah, but I can't see them.
Yeah, well, if you could, then the Incans would be able to see them coming from far away. Okay, our next wonder of the world is, like I mentioned, there's going to be a couple different ancient civilizations. This one is not the Incans, though. It's the Mayans. And the Mayans left behind this ancient city in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. We've looked at the Yucatan Peninsula before. So this is called Chichen Itza. It's a famous architectural city, probably most famous for El Castillo, a temple kind of in the shape of a pyramid, like the Egyptian pyramids, that's in Chichen Itza. And so if we go and look at this here, this was built by the Mayans, and the Mayans were kind of the dominant empire in this region. But Chichen Itza specifically had a really diverse population of Mayans. So that's why you get a lot of different cool architecture here in kind of this sprawling area. Okay? So you probably heard of the first few. You maybe haven't heard of these next ones, like Chichen Itza. You want to go there?
Uh-huh.
Well, we're going there on Google Earth. Next best thing, right?
Yeah, but I want to go there for actual.
Oh, you do? Okay. Next one is a little bit more common. You've maybe heard of this one. It's way over in Italy now, and we're going to the Roman Colosseum, famous for its gladiator battles. It was the first of a few different amphitheaters, and actually the largest of the amphitheaters built in Rome. Amphitheaters were kind of like stadiums. They were built to put on shows like gladiator fights, but also they were built to put on huge spectacles like recreating sea battles. So they would fill this amphitheater. They could hold from 50 to 80,000 people with water. They'd fill this up with water, and people could go and watch ships battling each other and recreating great Roman victories. So let's zoom in. We can actually go inside of this Colosseum. You can still go visit the Colosseum today, though it is obviously very much deteriorated.
Don't no one go to it anymore?
No, you can still go to it. Look, there's still people there. Okay, they don't go and watch big gladiator fights anymore. Gladiator fights are when people would go and fight each other, so people could watch. Okay? All right, now let's hop over to India.
India.
That's right.
I've heard of India.
You have? And let's see the Taj Mahal. Okay, so the Taj Mahal was built in Agra, India. And back then, a group called the Mughals were ruling this region. It looks like Rapunzel's tower.
No, that one does.
Oh, yeah, it kind of looks like Rapunzel's tower. And one of those Mughal leaders was called Shah Jahan. And he actually had a few different wives, but his favorite wife passed away, and he wanted to build a memorial to her, and actually a burial tomb called a mausoleum to her, and he built the Taj Mahal. So a beautiful architectural feat. His tomb is actually also in there, but it doesn't just have the temple, it's got gardens outside of it. You can go and visit. Look at that.
What's on this other side of the sidewalk?
Yeah, so pretty cool scenery. And then finally, let's go to our last modern of the world. This is probably the least well known. It's called Petra, though I would argue.
All the places.
You want to go to all these places?
Uh-huh.
I would argue one of the more underrated modern architectural feats. Not that it was built in modern times, but one of the modern wonders of the world. Because this is a incredible historical city that was almost lost to the world. So it used to be a key trading route in Jordan, in the Middle East. Petra means stone in Greek. And it was a thriving city. About 20,000 people or more lived here. Well, it sort of died off. There were some earthquakes, there were some invasions, and eventually most of the people abandoned it, and only nomads lived there. A nomad is someone that doesn't really have a home, just kind of wanders around. And so Petra was almost lost to the world until in 1812, an explorer discovered it again, and now it's become a tourist destination because, as we zoom in here, they found several different temples, likely holding old kings or emperors. And it's an archaeological space now where people dig for clues to the history of this region. Okay? So while it doesn't look like the architectural feat of the Taj Mahal or Christ the Redeemer statue, the historical significance is really fascinating. Okay, so those are your 7 modern wonders of the world.
I want to go to all those ones.
You want to go to all of them? Me too. Well, the next best thing is you can add them to your Quizlet as vocabulary terms. Now, your assignment this week, it's our final week, you're going to add these terms and you're going to take that Quizlet. So go to your Quizlet, push test. It'll give you a test of, make sure you select all terms. Okay, don't just do some of the terms. Do all the terms. Make it multiple choice. And then go ahead and take it until you get 100. Listen, if you don't get 100 the first time, that's okay. Look up the ones you missed. Review a little bit. I just want you to learn them. Once you get 100%, go ahead and screenshot your score and send it to me. Okay? If you have any questions on that, you're confused, we will have a Zoom meeting, remember, on Wednesday at 12:30. So go ahead and tune in there and I'll answer your questions. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe and have a great week. Say bye, Adeline.
Bye, 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 boo boo.